Pogačar does attack, and what we see Jonas as, I don't know if you say that in English, but as a fly on shit.
That's how we say it. Yeah.
Pogačar's back. Like there was nothing to come in between Jonas the fly and the shit.
Hello and welcome to JB Squared. I'm JB Hager, joined by Johan Bernil, and we're going to take a look at stage 2 of the 2024 Tour de France. Just 2 days into it, and a lot to unpack here. Any doubts that we had pre-tour have changed after today's stage, if you didn't see it. Before we get into that, I do want to thank our title sponsor here for JB Squared, and that is Ketone IQ. We're all on the ketones here. I know you've been taking them, Johan, and just everybody getting some great results, not only how they feel physically when they're working out, also mental function, mental clarity, and something that Johan and I've discussed is even like an appetite suppressant, kind of gives you that energy to get through the day. Get I highly recommend getting a subscription for like 3 to 6 months. Give it a shot. Make it part of your routine. You'll feel a difference. 30% off your first subscription order, plus a free 6-pack when you use the link ketone.com/themove. Okay, let's start with Jonas Vingegaard. Now, incredible day for him, because going into this tour, no one knew what sort of shape he was in from his bad accident, 12 days in the hospital. No one had seen. How long has he gone without racing, Johan?
I think 3 months.
3 months?
Yeah, almost 3 months, I would say, yeah.
Yeah, and then his camp was keeping everything pretty quiet during that time, which has got to be a lot harder to do in this modern era of cycling, not letting information leak out. So we all wondered. We thought it was going to be the Pogačar show for this entire tour, and he was going to walk away with it. Today, if you did not see it, Pogačar tested Jonas a little bit, and Jonas was able to answer quite comfortably, is what it looked like. So that was the first test. Whether it was 100% attack or not, we don't know. But Johan, I'd love your thoughts on that attack and what you saw with Jonas.
Yeah, the stage was, there was two potential scenarios. If there was a breakaway, then of course the action in the main group would not be with the same aggression as if there's a stage victory for grab. So the breakaway made it, and so I think that influenced the motivation a little bit. But still, we had this climb, the Santuario de San Luca, which is a famous climb in Italy, known in the Giro and known in Giro di Emilia. I think Roglic won there 2 or 3 times already, beating the last time he went up there, he beat Tadej Pogacar in the sprint. Normally the Giro d'Emilia finishes on top, so it was a bit different, but still it's a hard climb, 1.9 kilometers, double digits almost all the time in terms of steepness. So we expected something. The first time up the climb, nothing happened, except at some point Pogačar went to the front. The commentators thought he was attacking. He was actually going for a bottle of a soigneur, which was next to on the side of the road. There you already could see Jonas straight away in the wheel.
He was very alert. He was ready for that.
Yeah, he was ready, but it was not an attack.
Right.
It was not an attack. Now the second time up San Luca, which then on top of the climb, it was about 12, 13 kilometers to the finish. UAE set the pace with Adam Yates. So once Adam Yates goes to the front, you can know already, okay, this is serious, because he's one of the top 3 riders in the world. He was 3rd in the Tour last year. He just freshly comes off winning the Tour of Switzerland. So when he set the pace, it was clear that they already knew that the stage win was gone, but it was clear that it was setting up an attack for Pogačar. Pogačar does attack, and what we see Jonas as, I don't know if you say that in English, but as a fly on shit.
That's how we say it. Yeah.
Pogačar's back. Like there was nothing to come in between Jonas the fly and the shit. And I think that was telling. Because I was, you could think already, but yesterday he looked really comfortable, but today was a bigger test. and especially on a climb like this, which is Pogacar's favorite terrain, steep, explosive. I mean, he didn't move an inch. So I think he passed his second big exam. Stage 1 was an unknown for everybody. He passed that really, really, really nicely. Today was a bigger test. And so obviously, I think that in the camp of Visma Lease Bike, they must be over the moon. I mean, they are actually. I saw an interview of Grisha Nierman after the stage, and he looked super, super happy, also relieved, I would say. Because I think they themselves also, they're a little bit in the unknown. They know that Jonas did everything he could to be ready, but you have to wait until you get, especially because you didn't have any racing to test your fitness, right? So, and then on the other hand, I would think that UAE and Pogačar are starting to be a bit more concerned because they know that Vingegaard is ready. Of course, it's not a defeat, right? But he is ready, and it's gonna be a great battle.
Well, and that whole theory of Pogačar needs to put this away in the first week. Now he only has stage 4 to potentially do that.
Well, that's his third test, right? I mean, test 1 was the first stage to see how he reacts to an aggressive way of racing. Passed that with flying colors. Today, 10 out of 10 for Jonas responding to the attack. And then now I would say, I was 60%. My doubts were away on stage 1. Today, I would say 85% of my doubts are cleared up about Jonas. And now the last 15% is stage 4 on the Galibier, which is different. It's hard, it's high, and it's longer. It's 8 kilometers steep. So it's a different effort. And basically, it's an all-out effort till the top, because from there on, it's downhill to the finish. So I think Pogačar will try again. And, if there we see that Jonas responds the same way as he did today, then we have a race in our hands. It's going to be interesting.
What were your thoughts on Jonas trading pulls with Tadej? They were going back and forth. Part of it, I was thinking, they're just trying to get separation from Roglic and potentially Remco and Carapaz. Another part was like, maybe he's just showing Pogačar, like, I am 100%. You cannot drop me. I'm as healthy as you. I'm as fast as you. Maybe a little bit of both.
I think it's a bit of bluff also. This is also a psychological war, a mind game. And so, I mean, last year, for example, if you look back, I think it was stage 2. Also, Pogačar attacked for bonus seconds on the last climb on the Jaizkibel in the Basque Country. Vingegaard followed him, but he did not pull. But that was different because he had Van Aert in the back who was going for the stage win. Today was different. There was nobody he had to wait for. So he did trade pulls. I think personally, it's a bit, I mean, if I would have been him, I wouldn't have done it, because I still had the impression that Pogačar is a tiny bit stronger than Jonas right now. And after that attack, then he traded pulls, and there, if you're two guys together, there you can really feel, okay, I'm stronger, or this guy comes through, or he doesn't have the power, right? So it's Pogačar's race to lose. He's the top favorite, and the fact that Jonas took pulls shows to me that he's confident and that he wants to say, hey, you know what? I'm equal to you. And
I'm the returning champion.
And guess what? I'm going to get better. So I think it was great. It was great. I mean, it's amazing to see again the two guys that we saw last year on stage 1 and stage 2 already. Now again, the two best riders in the world are already battling out.
Today was huge for the fans and for us as commentators, because now we've got a really good race. We were afraid it was going to be a walk-away win. Some other things, and this is interesting. This did not come up on the move. You have some insight on Pogačar being a much better racer. Every year he gets better and better, more experience. He seems to be more in control than he ever has, although he always wants to win, and which is why he ended up in yellow today. But he was actually trying to not get into yellow today.
Yeah, well, I think that's a decision he made at the very, very last moment. So obviously, when they were pulling together, trading pulls, him and Jonas, he would, if he comes together with Jonas, he would for sure go full gas to beat him in the sprint. There's no way he would have let him get even 1 second in front. But I saw something like if you watch the race, at the very end, in the last 100 meters, 200 meters, Remco Evenepoel and Richard Carapaz bridged across, and they caught Jonas and Tadej.
It looked more like Remco bridged and Carapaz sat on.
Yes.
But they caught him. It was impressive.
Yeah. I want to come back on Remco after this.
Okay.
But so as soon as Remco caught them, and that's there you have to see, the clarity of Pogačar, the way he thinks fast. So yesterday he was fourth, and Remco was eighth in the stage, and Jonas was 16th. So in the same time. Now the two first guys were not there. Van Aert was not there, who got the bonification. So it was either going to be Remco or Jonas or Pogačar who was going to take yellow, depending on the placings. And so you could see that all of a sudden Pogačar decides to not sprint, let Carapaz in front and Jonas in front and Remco. And so, for example, if Remco would have won the sprint and Pogačar gets fifth because there was still this guy from Total Energies that they caught in the downhill, then it's actually Remco who takes yellow. And so you could clearly see that Pogačar on purpose didn't sprint and actually tried to have a little gap of 1 second, to lose 1 second, to not get yellow.
What do they consider? I should know this, but what do they consider a gap? A bike length?
It's a second. 1 second. It needs to be 1 second. I mean, there's talks now that they're going to change it to 3 seconds, or because of when it's big groups or something. But anyway, it's 1 second from the last wheel till the gap, the front wheel of the guy who gets gapped, right? If that's 1 second, then the time goes from the first guy. So, for example, it's a complicated rule. So let's say, for example, there's 10 riders together, right? And the last two guys are 1 second behind the eighth guy. That 1 second is considered a gap, but the time is from the first rider to the ninth rider. That's the real time gap.
Okay.
So in theory, Pogačar could have lost 1 second, and Remco would have gotten yellow. And actually, I have proof of this, that this is true, because if we look at this little clip here that I saw after the finish, it's in the cooling down zone. Remco goes to Pogačar, and Pogačar says, "Did you take yellow?" And Remco said, "No, I got the white jersey." And Pogačar says, "Yeah, look, I left a gap. I tried to make a gap." So we can see it here on this little clip.
Okay, here's that clip.
You take yellow or not? White. Your turn. I make a gap in the final a little bit.
Oh, okay. I see. Johan picks up things after the race. You're just observing them cooling down. And again, I noticed too, these guys are all buddies. They're stopping by to see each other and congratulate each other after the race. But there he is. Pogačar's telling him, "Hey, I was trying to give it to you," right? Yeah.
Well, I mean, it would be okay. In hindsight, I also think, it's actually not really. I mean, it could actually help, because first of all, then tomorrow you don't have the jersey. You know that the sprinters are going to control anyway, the sprinters teams. But then, especially on stage 4, you don't have to control all the stage until the last climb. That's in theory the job of the team of the yellow jersey. So that could have been the reason, right? But anyway, he got it, and now he's gonna fight for it now. keep it. So anyway, I wanted to come back, JB, on Remco Evenepoel. You know, we've talked about him. We had doubts, especially after he was also in the same crash as Jonas and who else was in that crash? Jonas and Primoz and anyway, in the Basque Country, all these guys went down.
On the coverage, I'm sure you saw the same thing. They showed that crash over and over, showing each one of them. That was just gnarly. That one crash did so much damage.
It was really bad, really, really bad. Actually, the guy the worst guy from that crash. I mean, nobody talked about this guy. Poor guy. He was there forever, ever on the floor, and he was in a ditch and he could not move. It's a Belgian guy called Stef Kras. He's on Total Energies, really good rider, and he's actually it took a very long time, but he's actually recovered and he's riding the Tour de France. So
okay,
but he was really bad. Anyways, Remco Evenepoel came back into competition in the Dauphiné. Won the time trial, but was not having the greatest performance in the mountains. He looked in shape, but he looked, I'm not going to say overweight, for sure not, but he did not look super, super light. I spoke with our colleague from La Movida, Victor Hugo Peña, who is on the grounds in the Tour de France, doing some commenting. And he told me yesterday he had interviewed Remco after the stage, and he said, let me tell you, Johan, this guy is skinny as hell. I mean, he's so ripped. And then Remco also confirmed today in his post-race interview that he is 2.5 kilos lighter than at the Dauphiné Libéré. And that's a lot. That's a lot for a light athlete already.
Well, that was always kind of the rub on him. He's a little bit too big to be a Grand Tour. I mean, compared to Jonas and Tadej, right?
Yeah, he's a Grand Tour winner, JB. Let's not forget.
I know.
He did win the Vuelta.
I should say Tour de France.
Yeah, there are climbs in the Vuelta. Let me tell you, a lot.
Yeah.
But anyways, Tour de France is different. But I have to say, I had reservations with Remco, and especially also, you know, and as a Belgian, I know how much pressure there is on him, you know, and I said, listen, just try to be realistic, and, you know, your objective needs to be a top 5. Whatever is better than that is a bonus. I think he looks good at the beginning of the race, looks comfortable on the bike. Today, he was the only guy that actually could bridge. He must have gotten away after the top of the last climb. There was a little down and there was another 1 kilometer drag. He must have gotten away there with Carapaz. And on top of that, he said in the interview that Carapaz did not pull once. So that's quite the performance. Again, you know, it is also, let's not forget, it is his preferred terrain, you know, that these kind of climbs we still need to see also on the longer climbs, but he sounds confident, I have to say. He sounds confident that he's going to be there. So I would want to, you know, see him patient, you know, not too overexcited, and just take it day by day. And if he's solid, then he can get close. You know, he's not going to get at the level of both of those guys, but, you know, could be a candidate for 3rd, 5th, 4th, whatever.
Okay, we've got to spend some time on today's stage winner. And
Kevin Vauquelin. And
it's in Team Arkea, stage 2 of the Tour de France, having a big win. Like we said the day before with DSM, tour made. Their tour is made.
Oh, yeah. And especially for, I mean, Arkea, first stage win ever at the Tour de France. I mean,
how big is that?
Yeah, no, crazy. It's kind of ironic also, JB, that, you know, the French, you know, they've had many times that there's no French rider who wins a stage. Many times that there's no French rider in the top 5 or the top 10. Now we have 2 stages, 2 French stage winners, and it's not in France.
I know. I thought about that. Those guys, because you guys talk about it all the time. You want to win in your own country. And if you can win in your own hometown. That's like amazing.
I mean, I remember the second time I won a stage in the Tour was, I mean, it's a very long time ago, almost more than 30 years ago, 95. I won a stage in Belgium, in Liège. And that's a scenario as a cyclist, you cannot write it yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you can just if whatever you want to write as your dream scenario, this is better. And so for those guys, of course, you know, a stage win is a stage win in the Tour, but it's not in France. So, but anyways, they're gonna get to France and they're gonna be received as heroes already once they get there. So,
and this guy's only 23, another young rider with a Tour stage win, and what was it, second at Flèche Wallonne?
Yeah, really good rider, JB. He already last year in his, I think last year was his first year professional. He was already up there in a lot of races. I think he also won, if I'm not mistaken, I think he won Étoile de Bessèges or something, like one of those French stage races in the first months of the season. Really good time trialist. So, I mean, today, as soon as I saw the composition of that breakaway, I said, okay, if that breakaway goes to the finish, Vauquelin, I mean, I think you saw it on the group chat when you guys woke up.
Oh, you called it way out.
George said, okay, who's going to win? I said, Vauquelin. But, I mean, you know, there was a few good riders there, you know, I mean, he also, let's not forget, he had a teammate, Christian Rodriguez, Spanish guy on Arkea. He had a teammate there. Then there was Axel Laurence, another young French rider, world champion under 23 last year. There was Harold Tejada, the Colombian guy in Astana, good climber. Quentin Paché, another young French rider. Nelson Oliveira, and then also Jonas Abrahamsson, who for me is the MVP of the first two stages. I mean, stage one, all day in the breakaway, all day, got almost all the GPMs, the KOMs. Was already in the Polka Dot Jersey today, and then today he was struggling on some of those climbs, but still he got all the points except the last time over the call it San Luca. And so there's, you know, he already has a great season this year. He won a classic in Belgium. And so there's a special story about this rider. I think we touched on it briefly last year, but now that he's, you know, in the picture, I just want to pause for a second and point out the special story about this rider. You know, he's still, I think he must be 24, 25 years old, but I knew the story. I actually just went back and checked an interview to have the right information. So a few years ago, this guy was a pure climber. He was super light. He was 58 kilos. And he had some good performances, but he figured out that as a climber, he did not have enough quality to be really competitive with the rest of the lightweight climbers. So together with his coach and with his performance team, they decided to gain weight. You know, cycling is about losing weight.
Right.
This guy decided to gain weight and gain more power. And so listen to this. This is mind-blowing. He went from 58 kilos before COVID in 1 year to 78 kilos, gaining 20 kilos. That's 44 pounds of weight. I think now he's a bit lighter. He shed a few of those kilos, but he is quite big compared to the rest of the guys you saw in the breakaway. And the guy just made the bet and said, hey, you know what? If I can become another type of rider, a type of puncher, I have more opportunities. Because if I stay a climber, I'm never going to beat the best climbers. If I'm a puncher,
it's kind of the opposite of Lance's career.
Yes.
He came in as a bulkier power puncher, and then came back lean as overall. Interesting.
Yeah. But interesting story. But anyway, what a first two stages for this guy, and also for that team. You know, X, they're one of the teams that are invited, and they're already 2 days in the picture, and we're going to see a lot more of that team. But I just wanted to point out the super performance of Jonas Abrahamsson.
Yeah, some of those shots of him, like from straight ahead, you can just see it in his legs. Like it just looked very bulky. That makes all makes sense now. Some other storylines, today Cav was dropped, Jakobsen was dropped, but also Van der Poel. So the sprinters, obviously, they're waiting for their opportunities. Not today. What's going on with Van der Poel? Is he just targeting a certain day, or is he a little off? Or
I think he comes in with not a lot of competition now. In today's cycling, that really doesn't mean a lot. He came into Milan San Remo as his first race, and look what happened. Last year he won, and it was I think he was his second or third race. This year he helped Philipsen win. But the guy only has 7 days of racing before the Tour de France, and his last race was Liège-Bastogne-Liège, which is a very long time ago. So I think he comes in a little with no competition. The two first stages are definitely. Looking at the way. Yesterday I would say a really good Van der Poel would have always been there. If Pedersen is there, he's there, right? So he wasn't. Today, I think he decided it was too hard for him. So I suspect he has other goals. He definitely wants to win a stage himself. But for tomorrow, I think he wants to be, full gas at the service of Jasper Philipsen, who, until the contrary is proven, is the fastest sprinter in the world. And he is his last lead-out guy. So they get along really well. Philipsen also just re-signed for the same length as Van der Poel's contract with Alpecin. It's Alpecin de Koning. No, it's Alpecin Phoenix. I don't remember now. Anyway, Alpecin. Until 2028, they have the contract, so they're buddies for a very long time. And so, we've seen already that Van der Poel is whenever he's not going for himself, he's a model. I know. I love when he does a lead out. Like he can almost win his lead outs, Yeah. And that they don't have any GC ambitions. No, they don't. They don't. It's kind of remarkable though that if you think about it, Van der Poel, such a quality rider, one of the 5-6 best riders in the world, and until now he only has one stage win in the Tour de France. He did that like 2 or 3 years ago when he won that stage in honor of his grandfather.
Yeah, if you asked a random casual fan, they probably go, "Oh, he's got 3 or 4 wins in the Tour." Right?
One. He has one. He has a few yellow jerseys though.
All right, that's right. He was in yellow. Can we talk about team strength? Because today, this was pretty early on. If you tuned in late, a few people went down. Like Jorgensen went down. Wout van Aert went down. That team's just the luck is not on their side, but they keep pulling it together.
If you look, yesterday Wilco Kelderman went down. So they have already after 2 days they have at least 3 guys on the floor. Nothing major, but it's not an advantage. But if you look at, I would say yesterday Visma, really great performance. They took responsibility and they took the lead of the race whenever they decided. I think it was also to make a statement. Hey, here we are. We're good. Today, they also did that. But the thing I noticed was that whenever it got really hard, and especially on the last climb, when you look at Visma versus UAE, it's definitely advantage UAE, because when it really was on the limit, it was Jonas and Matteo Jorgensen, the 2 only guys left from Visma, versus Pogačar, Yates, Almeida, and Ayuso. So they had 4 guys versus 2 guys. That may change, and also you also have to. It's just the numbers, right? Like really, what really matters is when it's going to be man against man, then the team is not going to matter too much, because you could say, okay, you know, well, it's Adam Yates and there's Pogačar, there's Jorgensen and there's Jonas. Those two duos are kind of matched evenly, I would say, because I think personally that Matteo is probably uphill more or less on the same level as Adam Yates. Maybe a little advantage for Adam Yates, but not by much. And then you have Ayuso and Almeida. They are there when the other Visma riders are dropped, but does it really matter? Because they're not that much stronger. So they may be there, but hanging on for dear life. They don't really serve a big purpose anyway. But for the moment, in the mind game and the psychological war that's going on, it's okay, UAE, we are stronger than Visma because we have 4 whenever they have 2. So those are little things. These are little psychological wars that are now being played, and you have to get your motivation out of little things. And so,
what do you predict for stage 4? Then do you predict UAE is just going to take control?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Just try to destroy them.
On the last, not on the last 8 kilometers. I mean, the Galibier is 8 kilometers from that side, because everything before that is called the Col de Lautaret, which is very long. It's kind of part of the Galibier because it's one climb, but it's first the Lautaret, which is a big national road, and then all of a sudden you take the more narrow road, and the last 8 kilometers are called the Col de Galibier. From the other side, the Galibier is harder, where they're going to go down. But still, I think it's hard enough. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think Bernal went away there when he won the Tour. On that stage, I think he went away and took some time. I seem to remember. So it's hard. It's steeper. It's steep and it's high altitude also. It's 2,600 meters to the top of the Galibier. So
yeah, and I just wondered which team of the two is going to try to be the boss that day. Probably UAE.
I think UAE, because they do have more. They have these 4 guys. Now, okay, if Wout all of a sudden, improves a little bit, he can be there for a long time. And then there's also Kelderman, who's obviously also really good. So. But if you look at number 3, 4, and 5 of Visma, which would be Kelderman, Van Aert, and Benoot, those 3 are not the same strength as the duo Almeida and Ayuso.
Yeah, because we just got a good look at them recently, and they're riding well. Let's see. How concerned are you with the 21 seconds that Roglic lost?
It is a concern. It is a concern, especially on this type of climb. This is, he's won here, I think, 2 or 3 times already. The fact that he was not able to follow, he wasn't following those 2 guys. You could say, okay, you know what? It's early. He should be able to follow normally, but he couldn't. But the fact that he was also not able to follow the next 3 or 4 or 5 riders, to me, that's a concern. That's obviously not a good day. Now also, if this is a bad day and you only lose 21 seconds, anybody's going to take that as a bad day, right? But it's early to have a bad day on stage 2. Not good.
Unless you have anything else, I think we've covered all of our stuff from today. Tomorrow's the longest stage, and kind of a very tricky run-in that we pointed out. It's got a couple of hard turns near the finish.
Yeah.
And it should be a sprinter's day, correct?
I think so. It's 230 kilometers. Hard day the day after. Breakaway. Okay, whoever goes in the breakaway knows that they're gonna get caught. So it's early in the Tour to go only for TV time, knowing that the majority of we need to break this up in different groups of riders, right? So we have the really top riders, they can go every day. Then we have a few good riders who are looking for opportunity, stage wins, maybe, top 10 and then you have a bunch of riders who have, specific tasks to do, but also one of their tasks is make it through the Tour and, burn a lot of matches on stage 3 with a TV attack, meaning being out there for 200 kilometers and being sure that you're going to get caught. That's something that, it'll need to be a director with a lot of power of convincing to send these guys in breakaways. This is the typical stage that, for example, if you have this at the end of the Tour in the last week, and you kind of know it's going to be a bunch sprint, but you're in a team who hasn't done anything yet, you can get orders. Okay, you have to be in the breakaway.
Yeah, the sponsors are watching. They haven't seen a thing.
No massage tonight. but not on day 3. I don't see that happening on day 3.
Yeah. I don't want to get too much into the predictions because now, if you haven't caught on yet, I know it's only day 2. We now have added outcomes to this same move feed. So after this show, you can listen to outcomes, and that's where Johan and Spencer Martin really dig deep on their predictions. They predict favorites, you predict the wild cards. You're off to a good start. And so that's a really, really good show and well worth listening to. So I don't want to get too heavy into it, but another thing that could be interesting tomorrow is they're predicting a little bit of rain at the finish.
No, I checked. I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, I saw a report of thunderstorms, but no, 20%.
Isn't it funny now that we have weather on our apps? We all think we're weathermen when really it's a little more complicated than your phone just going, it's going to be fine at 5:00.
It is. Yeah.
All right. Hey, a little bit of Ventum Trivia. We're going to be giving away a brand new NS1. That's the road bike that we all ride from Ventum. And every day when we do the trivia, send in your answer. Every time you send in an answer, that's your name in the drawing for the end of the tour every time. So more chances to win the more you participate. Do not email your answers back to us. I'm going to give you a URL to submit your answer. The question yesterday was, outside of France, name 5 other countries the tour has started from. You only needed to name 5, but some of them are Italy, Spain, Belgium, Germany, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Switzerland, United Kingdom, Ireland, Monaco, and Denmark. All right. The question today, and you can take your time, look it up, and then go submit your answer. What is the name of the Tour de France's lion mascot? I didn't know it had a name, and I'm sure you have a few of those laying around, Johan.
Well, I have only one because I only won one myself.
But as a director, you didn't get one every time.
No. I must have had some, but I think I gave them away.
You just need to keep one, right?
But I don't know. Is it Simba? It's not Simba, no? It's not Simba.
No, it's not Simba. It's not Simba. So do not email the answer to us, but I want you to have a shot at winning the spike. Go to www.ventumracing.com/themove. Submit your answer. Your name goes in. Okay. Good luck. Can we do a quick email? I didn't really prep you for this, but I bet you'll have a good answer. Quick email came in from Anna Barnes in Detroit. She says, during COVID, my husband, a lifetime Tour de France watcher, encouraged me to tune into The Move. Here we are 4 years later. I am a cycling addict. The tour feels like Christmas. Thank you for getting me hooked on cycling. My question for you is, what big names do you think will make an appearance at the Olympics this year? And what is more important to riders, a tour stage win or an Olympic medal? That's a good question. Again, that's from Anne in Detroit.
Yeah. At the Olympics, almost everybody's going to be there, except the Olympic champion, Carapaz, who's not selected for some reason. I understand the choice, actually. I think it's not because you won 3 years ago that if there's somebody who is better than you in your country, and they only have one spot in Ecuador. So Jonathan Narvaez is going. I think he has a better chance for a medal.
Is it because of and it's because of the course too, right?
Of course, yeah, on this course for sure. But so Van Aert is going to be there, Van der Poel, Evenepoel, Julian Alaphilippe, Pogačar. They're all going to be there. Jonas, I don't think Jonas is going to be there, but it's not a course for him anyway. But yeah, I mean, the course is a typical course for punchers and guys for the classics. So it's not going to be a bunch sprint for sure. It's a very particular race also because it's very long. I think it's 260, almost 270 kilometers. The difference with all these long races that all the professional riders are riding normally is that the field is completely different. It's countries, and the countries have very small teams, 1, 2, 3, or maximum 4 riders per country. So it is definitely very difficult to control, but also it's a small field. There's only 90 riders at the start. So, but I mean, Lance and I reconned the course a few weeks ago, so it's gonna be hard at the end, especially because of the distance and some cobbled climbs. It has Mathieu van der Poel written all over it, this course. But again, as a country, and the Netherlands only have 3 riders that can participate. So 2 riders to control the whole race is difficult.
And they don't always have a clear leader.
But yeah, they do. I mean, Van der Poel is definitely the leader. Okay. Belgium is a bit different. They have Van Aert and Evenepoel, and then 2 helpers. But I mean, the second part of the question, what's more important, the Tour de France stage or an Olympic medal? I would say definitely a gold medal. A gold medal in the Olympics
has to be gold. Yeah,
important. But silver and bronze means nothing.
Interesting. Yeah.
Always take a Tour de France stage over a silver or bronze medal in the Olympics, and any rider would, I think, unless it can give you, a silver medal or a bronze medal in a country that is not really cycling culture, I think would mean a lot. But so would the Tour de France stage.
Okay. And okay, well, that's it. If you want to send in a question for Johan, obviously he's very good at answering it. Please send it to the move@wedo.team. That wraps up our look at today, stage 2. A little bit of a glimpse for tomorrow. Do listen to outcomes. All right, that's where you're going to get
for the Spanish-speaking people, La Movida with Victor Hugo,
who's boots on the ground at the tour. Yeah. So check it all out. As Jonas says, work on your Spanish. Listen to this show, and you're going to be talking about the same subjects, right? So it's very good for that. Thank you, Johan, and we appreciate your time. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Thank you. Speak tomorrow.